Definitely still the underdogs coming into today. Even though we got to see them against BDS yesterday, it was a scrappy, hard-fought game.
And it's worth just quickly mentioning CFO, the second PCS representative. So if you watched our first series today, PSG dominating in that second game versus Loud. They've set now a 4-0 record in play-ins. CFO, they came second place. They were so close to winning that final. Now they've got to match up to their other PCS counterparts. We're into the draft though, Dagda. Rumble taken off the board here. Lee Sin hovered as our first pick.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I thought we'd actually see something like the Renekton maybe taken instead, but I mean, or even Sejuani potentially the option, but like Maokai, the Viego gone. It looks like Gemini. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, gonna go back towards the Sejuani because traditionally when I think of Gemini, it's more of those kind of tank engaged champions that I consider him for, trying to set up the team and work with Chelsea when they get towards the mid-game opportunities.
See if we can find those opportunities. Sejuani has definitely been an impactful pick in the tournament so far, but the Renekton open and available. I mean, to be honest, I feel like we're still so fresh in this meta that there's a lot of big power picks that you can still go for. So like the Renekton is one of the highlight ones, but you know, things like the Ezreal is open, that's very safe to pick, very powerful pick. Things like the Orianna that have been able to dominate games.
We've also started to see things like the Gnar start to creep up as well as answers into this Renekton. We got to see in the last game. I'm 90% certain Rest played it the last day as well into the Renekton as well, but in that situation, it kind of works well where you can try and be that team setup. The Ahri going to be taken for Glory. We've had GB to high heavens sing the praises of Glory. So having him kind of take a step back from being a main source of damage to instead swapping over towards the Ahri. It is his most played coming in from Summer, but I still think when I think of how Team Wells were able to find that success, it was Glory having those big moments. But on the upside, we already highlighted the Gnar. Rest looks like he's going to go back towards that. And now it is a case for Jimmy, and like, what do you want to try and go for here? He had a fantastic performance on the Jace, but I don't think you can go for the Jace here with just how little AP damage you have.
Banana you mentioned though, locked in, and we'll see. I'm curious to see what Jimian plays in this one, because Jimian, I think, far exceeded a lot of people's expectations. His Jace yesterday looked really, really fantastic. Him and Rest pairing up with Rest on the Rumble, Jimian on the Jace. And we could see that Orianna that we've talked a lot about. We've not really seen as much as I expected so far. It's been kind of overshadowed by the Nico, but Jimian bringing it out.
Yeah, in the Not Worlds World Qualifying Series, we saw how important that was for Nuke. Like, incredibly strong pick when it's able to get those two items. So we'll have to see now, especially with the team fight setup you have on CFO, like, my God, you should be terrified as Team Wells. But I like what they're going for. They're, hey, look, let's go for the Lee Sin here for BJ. Let's try and have this setup where we can go for the strong mid jungle and see if we can try and play through that play for picks. But when we got to yesterday, early to mid game, they were like, okay, cool, we can actually try and make this combo work. But I think they really struggled when they got to the later portion of the game where they were trying to, push waves to get vision, to set up to play this pick style of composition. And that's where Team Wells really started to struggle. So I want to see that short up here coming into this game if they're going to try and play around this combo.
Yeah, I mean, Team Wales managing to get that upset yesterday against BDS. But towards the end of those games, me and Ender were sort of playing the game of count the Barons. Like, how many Barons does it take to actually close out the game? So perhaps a little quicker today from Team Wales. But we'll have to wait and see how they play this one out. I like the old school trio, though. This is like old school, we want to take control of the early game.
Yeah, and I think as well, as you say, like, it's such a strong combo to try and play for things like Riftel, but also just try and play for your lane states. The CC is there for a Lee Sin, which is the big thing that he wants. Blitzcrank respected here against Chelsea though. Nautilus going to be taking away on the opposite side. Probably going to be setting up for things like the Rel and the Alistair potentially to come through. I think for CFO side, Chelsea even taking, I think he's going to go for the Alistair here. He wants to try and say, hey, I'm going to be that big setup for things like the follow-up on Sejuani, setting up for Gnar, setting up for Orianna. It makes a ton of sense. And there's not a huge amount of champions that are good against it, because even if you go for the Rel here, you're in a bad spot. So Team Wales are going to say, hey, we'll actually take the Alistair in response, and then see exactly what Chelsea does want to try and go for.
And the Alistair is kind of a takeaway from Chelsea as well. Like, while we all know Chelsea's Blitzcrank is insane, it's not like it's his most played, it's a situational pick. But the Alistair, the Rel, these have been his bread and butter. Obviously the Nautilus as well, but Nautilus kind of everyone's bread and butter. And it looks like it will be the Rel locked in here, which worked very well with the combo that they've got. The one thing they're lacking right now is damage, basically.
That's going to probably be filled up here by Shun coming in here. I expect something that's going to be able to do a lot of consistent, well, maybe I was going to say kind of be that late game scaler, or at least provide a lot of that damage in the later portion. Now, you can still get a lot of work done in the early stages. Kalista, a very strong early game champion. But my biggest worry is CFO like to try and play around bot side, but you're up against Rel into Alistar. Your setup's really difficult to try and make work, and Kalista kind of needs to snowball.
I've got to say it, for me, that's an MF angle. With this much CC and this much combo, that's an MF angle in my mind. But we'll see what Wales are going to do to try and answer this aggression in the bottom side from Shun and Xiaoxi. They want to dominate the 2v2. Like you said, the Alistar could make that a problem. See what Artemis wants to take as well, because Artemis has been very impressive so far, and it will be that Aphelios locked in to play that defensive role.
It's a little bit of a funky one though, because you're kind of playing a lot of, hey, we want to go for dive with the Lee Sin, the Renekton, the Ahri, even the Alistar to a certain extent, right? But a lot of those times it's like, hey, we're using a flash from Alistar to get into a position to get a good knockup. Ahri's going in with a long-range charm after using her Spear of Rush to get into position. So trying to catch up to these fights as Artemis might be a bit of a problem. I think he'll do well in a lot of situations because CFO were jumping onto him. But if Team Wales are looking to push their advantages, I'm a bit nervous that this fight might just be just out of his reach as Team Wales are trying to make that happen.
I am curious to just watch his general form on Aphelios as well, because Artemis, across summer, he's played 18 games of Xayah. He's played 16 games of Kai'Sa. Aphelios is next most played with 4 games. Whoa. Like, this guy plays Xayah and he plays Kai'Sa pretty much all year, but doesn't necessarily get that much opportunity to play the other picks unless they're banned from what you can divine from the stats. We'll see how Aphelios is. I'm sure it's in great form if yesterday is anything to go on, because Artemis looked phenomenal. But it's CFO versus Team Wales here, and I've got to say, I'm excited because I feel like PCS versus VCS, these guys are pretty close to each other geographically, and I feel like VCS historically has built a reputation for being very fast, very aggressive, but Team Wales, I'd argue their playstyle is closer to what you expect from PCS.
Yeah, I mean, very slow. Going to be trying to see if they can kind of come online in those later fights, but or even just look for multiple Barons like we saw yesterday to try and close the game out. But we'll have to see. I mean, for Team Wales, I mean, big victory for them, picking up the first ever best of series win for the VCS second seed yesterday. So a big shout out to them getting that first win. But now again, they have to try and do what feels like a very uphill battle for them, going up against the PCS second seed.
Team Wales, they were the underdogs going up against BDS. They're the underdogs now against CFO, but the PCS, they look like the region to watch here at Play-Ins. We've seen PSG 4-0 so far. They're into that qualification match. CFO, they want to match their rivals from the PCS. They want to get to the qualifications too.
Yeah, CFO. We got to see Flying Oysters coming into Worlds last year, and I think they picked up a couple of fans. A lot of people not really like Flying Oysters. The name actually comes from the CTBC, the bank that they're sponsored by. It comes from their slogan. Their slogan has the name family in it, which is what Famuli is actually the translation of Flying Oysters into Mandarin, which is why they're CTBC Flying Oysters. CTBC Family.
Family.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Like a little wordplay. It's the name for your team. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a huge fan of that. I'm also a fan of just the name Flying Oysters. Even outside of the wordplay, it's just a great name in general. And also, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention, we have the Battle of the Sea Life on our hands. It's the Oysters in the blue corner. It's the Whales in the red corner. Who will come out as King of the Seas?
It's like, who would you win? 500 oysters or 2 whales? It's like, nobody knows, but we're going to find out.
Is it 1,000 oyster-sized whales or 1 whale-sized oyster? I don't know. We've got a bit of an all-in the bottom side. Xiaoxi jumping forwards to try and find Prio here for Shun. Not level 2 just yet. So they can't quite commit to the full all-in.
Yeah, they're going to be able to, though, to hit the level 2 first. They should be able to walk. Should be able to walk up here and at least smack the 2 minions in the front to use both of his stacks, but not really in a position to push too far forward, as you can already see. Shun and Xiaoxi getting good control. So I think this is my biggest worry, is that I haven't been impressed with BA, and I know from watching like a lot of Goldberg streams when he was VOD reviewing these guys as well, hasn't been impressed by BA. So I'm curious to see how much pressure Xiaoxi and Shun can get in this bot lane despite the weaker matchup of Rel into Alistar, and if this Alistar pick can give the control that this bot lane of Team Wales needs.
Keep my eyes on BJ as well, because he's one of their sort of star players for Team Wales. He's the catalyst for a lot of their early presence, but Gemini, no stranger to the early game. This is a player that likes to get in those lanes, likes to gank at sort of level 3, this sort of part of the game. Now going for an invade on this Sejuani, trying to take away BJ's blue buff.
Yeah, nicely done. Hey, we got push on bot side. Shun and Shouts can come across. Fantastic. I'll take a blue for myself. And also kind of creating that split map where now if you're BJ, you have to try and move back up to this top side. Try and play off the fact that Glory and also this Renekton have push. But may be a bit of a difficult situation for Gemini to try and contest. So I'm actually curious how this one pans out. Because as you can see, BJ is like, oh cool, lane prio top side. I'm going to get this blue on the opposite end.
Gemini goes through his walls. I don't know if that's just caution or whether he's not willing to take the contest or if he doesn't know BJ's on the blue buff right now. Didn't go over any vision to get to this point. Now we'll definitely know that BJ's in the area, but it's too little too late. The blue buff is gone. Okay, it's just luckily for BJ, the smite was on cooldown for Gemini. Use that on the other blue buff.
But the thing is now, you've kind of got this push out coming through on bot side because of the way the wave is stacked. You've got control over mid, so even though Gemini was the one going for the invade, I wouldn't be surprised to see BJ try and clear out these Raptors that have just respawned of his, and maybe even contest the Scuttle Crab on the bottom side, pick up a little bit more for himself. So we'll have to see exactly what the plan is, but looks like with the stop off, he may be a little bit late to the Raptors on the bot side, actually even with Glory resetting. Okay, it's just going to be a case of, hey, we'll trade Scuttle Crab on opposite side. Maybe. I think he is going for it.
Indecisive, but yeah, he's looking like he's moving down towards that. Gemini, in the meantime, perhaps looking towards the actual bottom lane itself. All in from Shousey. Stun is there to Beer. I mean, he's not even needed. The flash is there. The ignite comes out. As Gravitum on both bot lane as BJ in the area. But Artemis, I think he maybe already used that route. Shousey is very low. They've got to be cautious.
Shousey's low, but the wave is still kind of pushing in towards Shun and Shousey, so we kind of have both junglers still hovering here to make sure one Artemis and Bea, who are also kind of taking low specifically the support to push this wave in and get in the position where they're all right. Like you can see, look at Gemini, he's just re-going to this bottom side here.
Yeah, Gemini happy to stick around. And this is, you know, he's built a reputation for really focusing on the lanes in the very early stages of the game. Shousey charging forwards, goes a bit. They know there's no flash available, and so it becomes a free kill. First blood for Shun and Shousey with a little help from Gemini.
Great mind game from Shousey. He's like running immediately at Artemis, and you're like, okay, well, that's clearly the person we're going for, but turns at last second, catches out Bea, who's stepping forward to try and knock back the engage coming through from Shousey. So they end up getting the kill. BJ calls down to the bot side because Artemis is like, for the love of God, I need to push this in. Please give me some help or else I'll never be able to reset. And now BJ will start to move back in towards his own jungle. So nicely done by Gemini to get the first blood here.
Oh, will he? Actually just starts off the Drake off the back of, he knows that the enemy bot lane's resetting, his bot lane's resetting. Nobody has Prio, so why not try and sneak away the dragon? I think he's going to get away with it.
It will slow him down a little bit, which isn't the end of the world when you already know you've got the advantage over Gemini, but Gemini is here. Bea's gone the wrong way around here.
Yeah, trying to find Gemini, I think, but BJ now stuck in the pit. Gemini moving around, just hiding behind the Drake here. BJ is going to be better at smiting than what you'd expect from Gemini, just with the fact he is that Lee Sin. With Bea in the area, Gemini has to back away. So, Dragon secured by Team Wales. 1-0 in terms of kills, 1-0 in terms of dragons. But all things considered, a quiet start to the series.
Yeah, I think this is where it's going to start to really pick up, though. Level 6 hit for Glory in the mid lane. He's burning through a ton of mana alongside Jimmy, so Jimmy actually going to be relatively safe because you want Spirit Rush him to charm, but I think you want to try and play mid. Shousey, though, we get to play here. Very nicely done, right? Changes his direction onto Bea, gets the knockback, immediately gets the stun, and Gemini's there to follow.
It's the fact that Artemis also flashed. Like, Artemis was sure that he was going to flash onto him, so very nicely done there by Shousey. And it's kind of like how he plays Blitzcrank as well. You see him W in, you see him sort of flash forward, but then goes for a target that you're not expecting. It's all about the kind of misdirection.
I think, though, the misdirection right now is kind of where BJ is going to be in the map. He's already back down towards his bottom side, taking the scuttle again. You would consider that he's going to be moving up towards his top side, because you can actually see the little Callista soldier is wandering around in the jungle to spot out exactly where the camp's been taken. But BJ now spot on that ward. It's a nice job by Shun to kind of be a little bit of a heads up, as the BJ being in a different position than you'd expect because his top side is all about to spawn, but not able to get the play on the bot side. Shun will now know that he's reset thanks to Shousey clearing out that ward, and they'll be able to crush this.
Yeah. I feel like those Callista ghosts are... They really give you a false sense of security. They're very weak in terms of ward. It's no Ash Hawk choice. You know, at the end of the day, like, it's very easy for a jungler to dodge those, so I like that they're also warding the river.
Yeah, when you play Metal Gear Solid on easy mode, it's like, oh, okay, I can see exactly where they're looking.
It's BJ in the river just hidden under a box.
But, unfortunately, the box is well spotted by CFO. So again, you're going to be moving up towards the top side. And like the BJ's been trying to get access to these lanes, but it hasn't quite come into fruition for him. Now with level 6 hit for himself, Glory here in mid, I want to see this play happen. I'm even looking at the amount of rotations we're having for Rift Herald. And Team Wales almost always completely rotates all 5 members up here. So if CFO have done their homework, they should know they're here, and that's why they're kind of having their own squad starting to rotate up towards this top side.
This might just be a 5v5 we've got on our hands, Dagda, as BJ comboed up, Herald taken. And Shousey, unfortunately, on the wrong side of the blade, punted back by Bia, but he's got a Callista, so he'll get out. Nobody dies. Herald stolen away, though, by Gemini.
So you're happy out as CFO, managing to get into position where they're like, fantastic, we can steal this away. BJ left on his own in the pit with Rest able to get control over top side, so nice job. And now again, you can start to rotate this around. I imagine it is going to be a Rift Herald in towards the mid lane, like try and snowball the Orianna. Because one of the big things we've noticed with like Orianna builds coming into Worlds is, hey, we've moved away from we're going to go for tiers, we're going to go for like 2.5 to 3 item spikes. It's I'm going to go for Leandries, I'm going to go for Shadow Flame, and just try and spike earlier off of 2 items, but kind of forego a lot of that late game burst damage that we kind of come to expect.
We'll see. I feel like those individual item spikes are all significant as well. Like when a Mythic is finished for either of these mid laners, it does feel like a big moment in the build where suddenly that shockwave comes online. Suddenly Glory has either assassination potential or Everfrost potential, depending on which type of build he wants to go for. But looking towards sort of later in the game, you do get a little bit nervous for CFO. Anytime there's a Callista in the game, I get a little bit nervous about what happens sort of beyond 30 minutes. With a composition like this, you would want CFO to be trying to push the envelope a little bit more.
I think they've found their advantages through bot side already. The fact they've got the Rift Herald has been great. Obviously, losing Dragon kind of sucks. But I think you're actually in a strong enough position right now with Callista being, you know, 8 or well, nearly 10 CS up, let's say, in that bot side. Yeah. You're also looking at the fact that Jimmy has been able to farm effectively in the mid lane. Rest is doing well, relatively well in that top end. Like, the only thing you're really worried about now is like this second dragon that's about to spawn in 50 seconds. You want to try and make sure that Jimmy has his reset, has at least picked up, well, I suppose he's just back to his Phoenix Codex. Probably won't have enough to just barely finish his first Mythic beforehand, but you should be very close to your Blade of the Rune King here for sure. Like, these are the spikes that you're really looking to play off of at this next dragon, and hope that then you can start to snowball this one.
Dominus in the top side. Sparta, I don't think he has the damage to actually finish this kill off, but he does still have his flash available. He's going under the tower, taking a couple of shots himself, and Rest is about to turn Meganar. This could get dangerous for Sparta, but Rest decides it's not worth trying the all-in.
I like it from Rest, though. It's like, hey, my flash is super valuable if we are playing for this dragon. As BJ, no!
He's pulled in, he's CC'd up. There's no way out of that one, and the Herald on top of it. Jimmy getting some gold there. Or he gets a combo, but that's all he'll get. Jungler down, and CFO with another advantage.
Great pick. Shousey coming over the wall with Gemini. They don't even have to use the ult from Gemini as well, so if someone gets a little bit too close to this, they should be able to pick them off, but I don't think anyone from Team Wales is going to commit to this. Really nice setup to get BJ before they have to go for that dragon.
Glory trying to all in onto Jimmy in here, gets the true damage off of his Orb of Deception, denies access to this wave as well, and I don't know if he got that plate gold. I think that plate gold might have gone while he was out of range.
Yeah, just about, but now Gemini's in behind. Last charge there for Glory. No flash, but just going to be a scare in him off.
Oh, all in on the bottom side. Shousey takes a bit of damage, but again, that's twice already that Shousey gets to go too far forward and gets away with it because of the Callista.
And twice Artemis has blown his flash in bot lane for not really needing to. Like, flashes in aggressively try and find that play, but you're just taking Shousey out of the equation. BJ is here on bot side, has flash and kick. So maybe they can make something happen.
Gemini goes slightly sideways on that one. It's a great little combo, though. Gemini taken down. Team Wales finally get themselves onto the board. And you've got to be a little bit nervous for Shun and Shousey here. Beneath the tower, Shousey pretty low, but against Arel, probably not willing to dive.
Jimmy was missing from mid lane, so they don't want to overcommit to anything on that bot side, but yeah, I think for Gemini, he needed to flash the initial engage coming through from BA. Or sorry, the follow-up engage coming through from BA if he was hoping to survive that. But this here, beautiful stuff. So Rift goes down, and BJ, you gotta know Gemini's there. Like, literally, you get a big purple thing that says jungler is in this bush right here, and then it doesn't expect Shousey to be here. But this is a nice turnaround pick. I thought they go for bot lane. BJ gets the kick, but here, with the flash coming through from BA, they didn't really have the vision of the Alistair. So unfortunately, even though he had flash, he goes down, but Artemis! That shield.
Close. Yeah, that safeguard. BJ literally saving the life of Artemis right there. He will walk away. And again, trying to put the pressure on with this duo. Sees an opportunity where BA isn't in the lane. Couldn't quite finish off the damage. Honestly, I feel like that's quite lucky that BJ is able to flash in range to get the safeguard.
Yeah, that was incredibly close. Just the fact if Artemis had gone down, that's immediately more plates going over to this Kalista. She's going to be in a fantastic spot. Also, because you knew that BA wasn't in that bot side, it actually ends up messing up the mid lane play that they were trying to go for Team Wells as well. Glory was trying to see if they could get onto Jimmy in there, but not really in a position to do so now either. So a lot of those kind of plays falling apart from Team Wells. But again, it's more of a case of we're just waiting for 40 seconds. Rift Tower is going to be up. First item's now completed for CFO and also for Team Wells on the opposite side. So for Team Wells, can they find that pick before they go for Rift Tower, or Shousey after sneaking into a perfect spot against an AD carry that has no sums?
Glory opportunity on the bottom tower here, but Jimmy, he's nervous. There's a lot of vision in that bottom jungle from the red side. There's a singular control ward in there from the side of CFO. There's Glory. Oh, good little charm. Gemini in the area, though. Jimmy, I think he's trying to look juicy, but it's not going to happen.
I think that's kind of the thing that a lot of people forget about Ari, because we've had such mobile mid laners for a while, is how good she actually is in a side lane. The ultimate gives you so much pressure where you can overextend and start to hit towers, whereas Orianna is in a very vulnerable position when she goes for this. So that's why you're having Gemini down here to be like, well, I need to be here in case BJ shows up. Jimmy becomes very vulnerable underneath the tower. We could easily go for dives as Glory, so that you need to back away, which means that now, actually I was going to say they're going to go for Rift Tower, but rest. BJ,
damage.
Yeah, it's doing work.
Yeah, gonna be knocked back here, and actually a bit more of a combo as they get the ultimate onto Artemis instead. Shun dives on forward and rends him to pieces. Shousey, the target is BA. He runs out of ultimate and runs out of life. 2 more souls collected for Shun.
I feel really bad for BA in that one. BJ just booted Shousey onto him, was like, no, he's your problem. You have the Magnet Storm, I'm gonna peace out. So BA has absolutely nowhere to go, but big play from Rest. The fact he actually gets that damage on a Spartan in the top lane means that you can't really compete, and Spartan's now going to die!
No, that's not the place you want to be. Another kill. Gemini taking that one. I feel like you want the 4th kill on the Kalista, to be honest.
He flashed for it. It's worth it.
He's already got that hat trick. They'll be okay. But another pick for CFO. It feels like when it comes to these rotations, CFO have got it on lock.
And that's the thing. Wales were like, hey, we need to try and correct this top side, otherwise we can't go for Rift Child, which means the Shousey again hiding in these books, and Gemini, beautiful ultimate again, flashless, cleanseless, AD carry is easy pickings, and Shun is just having a field day in these 2 fights.
And it feels like we're getting that early power from the Kalista that we were wanting. Sparta, I feel like you should have known that you don't have the right to walk into that river right there. As the Herald is taken, that's now in the pocket of Gemini. At least Glory can answer with the tower on the bottom side. The gold lead starting to slowly build in favor of CFO. Not too significant just yet, but it's where the gold is, right? You can see the gold difference over time, just spiking. But Shun has so much. That's the key thing here, is that Shun is now at a power point.
Yeah, but Blade of the Rune King completed, also having that Rage Blade in his back, or the Rage Knife, sorry, in his back pocket. It's going to help out, and that's why you can see Team Wells is like, no, we cannot contest for this next dragon. At least having one will give them a little bit more wiggle room where they can get to the later point, but realistically, you're kind of waiting on Artemis to hit to 3 items, which you're just so far away from that. Whereas on the opposite side, Jimmy is already powering through his first item. He's got a bit of skills for himself, so he's able to work towards that second one, which I imagine is going to be the Shadow Flame. And then a CFO, you're good to party. Whereas for Team Wales, I think your pick comp of working between BJ and Glory just hasn't really come to fruition.
We're seeing a lot of Alistair value against these Heralds today, but they won't have the damage to actually finish it off. And it will be the tower taken down. It's going to be the Spirit Rush. A charm lands as well from Glory in the bottom side. Jimmian could be in trouble as the shield is burst through. The Orb of Deception and the Spirit Rush won't come through in the end. Glory having a decent game for himself. I will say, if we take a look at the solo lanes quickly, big CS lane for Glory. Mild CS lead in the top side for Sparta as well.
I just don't know if they're going to really be able to play through it. I do think Glory having control against Jimmy is great, but it's going to become more and more difficult for you to actually create any sort of pressure with Glory when you shove in mid as Shun and you immediately have Gemini and Chelsea like playing into the jungle like this. They know that they've got such a big advantage in the AD carry role and win the 2v2 prio mid that they can actually rotate in and just push Glory away from the tower. And when the bot tier 1 goes down, suddenly the map becomes significantly smaller for Glory to try and play that one out. So I think this is where, again, Team Wells, you got to try and find picks. You got to try and find creative plays of BJ and Glory to work together against Jimmy. But when you don't really have control of your jungle, that becomes significantly more difficult.
I have to say, Dagden, I'm really disappointed that we got a Kalista in this game. Not because I don't want to see Kalista. Kalista's exciting. But I was so ready with all the Kraken Slayer versus the Whales puns, and we get the 180 carry in the meta that doesn't build Kraken Slayer. Oh, to be fair, I wouldn't
don't worry,
say
we'll get
Kalista's
Ezreal
in the
next
meta,
game
but...
as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. We'll get Ezreal. Oh, dear. But interested to see how this one's playing out, because honestly, when you look at Team Wales, the way that they've played, they typically like a slower game. They're not necessarily the most aggressive team. But CFO, neither are they. They come from a region where playing slow, playing cautious is sort of the norm. And you can see that they're very comfortable with this style of play.
But that's the thing. It's like when you win out before you get to the fight, well, it's going to be slow. Like they get the pick onto BJ before they get to the objective. They're looking for, actually it's going to be a Void Staff coming through for Jimmy. Yeah, though.
We watched that ward get placed down. Chelsea, I think, was already shopping at that point, but it doesn't matter because the Fate Skull comes on through. That should be a 0-3-5 Chelsea, but they're playing so well around this Kalista ultimate. Beautiful.
Still, though, this opens up Team Wells to know they've got the numbers advantage in mid, but with an ulting, the ult available for the Nars, they're going to end up backing away. So, yeah, I mean, at this stage, it's like Team Wells, yeah, you're kind of half on the advantages, you're trying to find the picks, but it's not quite working out for you. And then, again, when it gets to team fights, I kind of just give the edge to CFO. You've got Chelsea, who's great. Gemini is going to be fantastic. Jimmy and having access to a bit of a wombo alongside everyone is going to be a very tough fight.
I think the only advantage that you can give to Team Wales when it comes to those later fights is your scaling of your AD carry. If we do get to like 6 items, that Aphelios can start to make a difference if he's got the right weapons in the fight. We've all seen what a late game Aphelios can do, but it's so circumstantial. You kind of need the stars to align. You need to be in the right position. You need to have got late enough in the game. Kalista now hitting 2 items. CFO are going to want to start to increase the pace of the game a little bit. They are spiking really hard on this Kalista.
Yeah, I mean, but for CFO, like, it's kind of a case of, right, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. We're winning it as we're moving across the map. And honestly, I think this is why CFO have been so successful domestically, right? When you look at they've been in 4 splits, 3 splits, they make it to finals. The other split was they finished in 3rd. Like, this has been a team that has come into the PCS and looked absolutely spectacular. And it is the opportunities of, hey, we've got an incredibly strong bot lane. We've got a 3-0 Kalista in this one that we can look to play around. Shun and Chelsea have been the carries. Now they're looking to play around them again.
Oh, good ult from Gemini, and the follow-up on Tabia does have some breakable will, and now some shurikens picked up from Artemis. It's enough to dissuade the play with Glory teleporting in the mid lane.
I saw where Jimmy's orb was, and I was like, that's a monster shockwave. I think Team Wales kind of breathing a sigh of relief that one didn't end up triggering, because that would have been a very disastrous point. The fact that you end up with Glory TPing, I think, scared CFO a little bit, but again, they're kind of getting what they want. It's clear the vision now, just slowly but surely eke that one up, and even though it's not the kills, they're going to be in a fine spot. Dragon, 16 seconds. You can see a little bit of a late reset coming through from Shun. They want to move over towards that, but it also means that Glory might be in behind for the pick on Jimmy, but he's out.
Yeah, Jimmy gets out with his life here. Glory is on 2 items at this point, and you can see the Event Horizon. It's not the Event Horizon, that's Vigars. Horizon Dawn? No,
Horizon
that's
Focus.
a different game. Horizon Focus. I always call it Event Horizon in my custom games, and it's got to a point now where it's like removed the name of the actual item. But the increased damage off the back of the charm now means that you really are into one-shot potential.
Which means that you'll get Chelsea down to like 10 HP before he gets boarded down. It's going to be real close though, real close to get Chelsea.
I will say, the fact I called it Horizon Dawn as well, that feels like fate, because we do have Artemis, God of the Hunt, in the game. That's a game all about hunting. You know, it all lines up.
I really wanted to make, like, if Artemis messed up, there's an Irish author called Artemis Fell Sorry, who own call for Road Artemis fell. And it was like, oh, he's really messed up because that's an Artemis fell. But it was like, I don't know if it's a big enough book. It sold like 50 million copies. I'm like, I feel like there's maybe enough people who get that reference.
I think, like, I know of Artemis Fowl, and I was on the same wavelength. Like, do I reference Artemis Fowl? I don't know if it's a popular enough series to
See,
reference.
the thing was, I messaged Medic and was like, hey, what do you think about this? As actually, Chelsea? But yeah, I messaged Medic and was like, what do you think about this? Can I make this joke? And he was like, compare the 50 million copies that were sold to Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. And I was like, yeah, they sold slightly more by like the 100. It's a very different story comparatively.
Yeah. That said, though, that doesn't mean Artemis Fowl isn't a big series. I'll defend Artemis Fowl. I've not even read it. I can't actually reference it anyway, but, you know, like, I was just going to use it as a simple wordplay, so I'm in too deep in this conversation, I'll be totally honest. Feels like Team Wales were a little bit in too deep. They're going to have all of their vision cleared here. Baron is up onto the map. Feels like that's where the teams are starting to lean now. Still 3.5 minutes, still the next Drake. CFO on that soul point, but it's a Cloud Soul, so not going to be the end of the world. Does open up that Elder Drake later on in the game. BJ moving in to try and clear the wave. I'm not sure that was necessary. Comboed up, he will escape with his life though. Shousey could be in trouble, but the face call once again. Beer on the front line. BJ jumps in for the kick onto Shun. It's gorgeous from the jungler. Shousey with a stun, but Glory's here to clean up. Gemini walking away as Rest tries to get Glory away from the rest of his squad. CFO though pushed away. It's 2 for 1 so far, and Team Wales, they're happy to go towards that mid lane.
That was a scrappy one, but Team Wales actually have to come out on top. B with a big engage onto Shun that then sets up BJ, and just like that, they've come alive. They'll get the mid lane turret, and I thought that this was going to be a very different conversation where Flying Oysters were able to take it, but Wales proving me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's really lucky that they managed to get the jungler so Baron couldn't go down.
But that's the thing, look how much was invested. Ult from Shousey, ult from Gemini, ult from Jimmy, and all on to get BJ, and he gets out. Big gets a beautiful engage onto Shun. Shun flashes away from the charm, but it means that when BJ goes in here, it's the perfect setup because Shun has nothing left. The ward, or the safeguard onto his teammate to get the distance on the follow-up. Beautiful stuff from BJ. And once Shun's down, consistent damage isn't there. Rest not having the Mega Gnar, Jimmy not really in a position to consistently get the command attack and command shockwave to deal the damage.
And you see the damage Glory was doing. That kind of fight is Ari's playground, where everyone's starting to get low, everyone's trying to escape, you just chase them down, you get those resets. You start to clean house. 6-3 on the scoreboard, but the gold is within touching distance right now. Team Wales fighting their way back into things.
Yeah, the thing is though, like, CFO are trying to ARAM this a little bit too much, where it's like, hey, we could actually try and push in the mid lane and then like rotate up towards this top side. I don't know if I have a second to draw on this, so I might just hold on.
Glory's on the flank here. No, you don't have a second factor, but Shousey does. He's found multiple seconds onto Glory. What an engage from the support. And now Bia left to the wolves as he'll be rendered to pieces. Shun with a double kill. That might just open up the Baron, but Shousey's gone too deep this time. Rest with a triple. No, the shockwave! What a combo! CFO making it happen.
Flying Oysters are sending the Whales into the air with that shockwave. Jimmy, and that was sick with Rest. And just like that, they turn over towards the Baron. They get the fight they need, and they'll get to crack open this game massively in their favor.
Just when a play goes positively for Team Wales, and there's a little bit of hope back for the VCS, CFO, they slam the clam shut, as it were, and they take themselves a Baron here. They take themselves a significant gold lead, and they begin their Red Bull Baron power play.
Yeah, and look, they're not going to stick around to try and get the top turret, but big focus now is going to be that next dragon. But Glory trying to play off towards the side, but ends up going that bit too far. BJ trying to engage. Great turnaround engage from Shousey. And B is just trying to save them, which means there's actually little engage left on Team Wales to turn this around. So they end up picking off the Alistar off the back as well. And then we got to look at Rest. Turns Mega, moves for, flashes in. Artemis Gale forces to try and get out of that, but the shockwave was already set up beautifully. That was glorious
I mean,
from Flying Oysters.
Nice. Oh my god. Oh my Jesus.
Chelsea, what a legend.
Chelsea just could not believe his eyes. And rightly so. I mean, all three of the targets of that shockwave were like max range on it in different directions. They all get pulled in. It's like the maximum spectacle available from a shockwave.
That was so funny. That was amazing. But CFO, I mean, amazing play to follow up on that. BJ is in no man's land on the opposite side of the map, which means CFO starting to move in here. They know they've got Baron. They know they've got an opportunity. Maybe look for something before BJ gets back, but that window's now closed. Is Rest going to try and spread out the damage onto the mid lane turret?
Yeah. Rest has been doing a good job of putting pressure down this game. Like in that previous team fight, they know that Bia's going to go down. He's already setting up for the following play as well. Ultimate in underneath the tower. That'll be the mid lane inhibits tower gone.
Just creates a bit of a frozen field to get Team Wells away from everything, but doesn't mean you have to be a little bit careful. Like Rest now, popping Mega Gnar means that you've kind of got this timing window to get mid tower, back away, and wait until the ultimates are up and available again. So maybe that's where Team Wells might look for something if CFO overextend. You can see they're kind of pushing forward here. They know that this is a time where two ultimates essentially are unavailable.
It's an opportunity potentially. You can't be scared of that shockwave at this point though. After that last fight, you're going to be terrified. Jimmian very close to finishing that death cap as well, which is a big, big moment for the Orianna. You go from sort of tickling everyone and pulling them in to one-shotting the entire team. It's now trying to pressure on to the second inhib in this bottom side. Team Wales not giving it up without a fight, but Jimmian, great little flash, and the combo to follow it up. Shockwave is there. It's 1-for-1 so far, though. They might have gone too deep for this one. Shun still going strong. BJ finds him, kicks him into the play. The Gnar against the wall. It's got to be, I mean, there's no damage left. CFO, they've got to just flee this one. Surely a Sparta kicks him on out. Artemis is still alive. CFO, you've got to flee the play. Beer gets the engage, but who needs damage? I guess they're still somehow winning. Rest having no time for sleep. He takes over, and the Oysters rise into the sky.
The mini Gnar to get the damage, to get the procs that he needed to chase down and pick off the remaining members. It may be Rest, but he's putting the rest of Wales to rest in this one.
Just a lot of rest in one sentence.
Yeah, I need to rest
CFO though. Oh God. I'm usually the one doing that. I'm usually the one making you cringe. CFO though, phenomenal game there. And you know, looking towards PSG and saying, hey, anything you can do, we can do better. Solid win here, very comfortable, and doing it in their way. Having complete control pretty much the entire game.
But I mean, what a performance from PCS today.